John coming? Yeah. Oh, we'll have to get another chair. You sit there and I got those two for Rudy.
Well, how many tables? Is this our table here?
Elders take both of them.
For this one? There, Peta. You guys can sit there too.
No problem.
They're taking, we're like, oh, move my chair, move my chair.
We need the rest of them. We've got parts okay.
Peta, I haven't seen you for a while. I haven't been able to make.
Summer, sure.
So, Garrett, thank you so much.
통과시간 시군학교 미국이 다야 차 제용기업 운신 코에시 강연사 비킹한 제용기업 운신 도기 전대기 중요 이차가 비대 이친구나 이차가 운신 Er versteht die Chance, ich die Chance wünschen. Aber Timpi verstehen hier, wo die Chance, so ich die Chance wünschen. Nun, Vayaza Pikin, Jim hier wünschen. Echani, Kaya, Isen, Ayapik wünschen. Iani, Timahe, und Hikawi, Chevichunkia, Hundashila, Zania, Oyukipia, wünschen. Ito dona imani banavi chanko umani picha chevichun kia unkia cha wacheki unkia binaha picha uni hampi picha unia hampi kaya aleza cha awachi unkia naha ankeshi zata akichi takina awache pichun kia Training di un'picca c'è i voci in chi però
Oh, thank you. I'd also like to open things up with our also good friend. I really appreciate Douglas Esau for being with us to start us off with a welcoming song. So, Douglas. Douglas is Omaha, and we really appreciate him taking the time to help us start all of these events in a good way. Thank you, Douglas. Appreciate that. So, if I stumble over my words just momentarily, it's because I'm wearing new contact lenses. I'm getting used to that. I've got 2 different prescriptions for each eye. My name is Brady DeSanti, and I am the director of UNO's Native American Studies program. My home department is in religious studies. I'm a citizen of the Lakota Ojibwe tribal nation out of Hayward, Wisconsin, and I possess Bad River Ojibwe ancestry as well. I've been with UNO for a very long time. I was an undergrad here from 97 to 2002, and I've been a faculty member in various capacities since 2007. I'd like to offer up just a quick land acknowledgement, but with the caveat and understanding that all universities, including UNO, need to continue to strive to increase Native student recruitment, meet their needs, build responsible courses for them, and assist them financially, and increase full-time Native faculty at the university level. So on this occasion, it's appropriate to acknowledge that UNO occupies the traditional treaty lands of the Omaha and Oto-Missouri tribal nations. We'd also like to express our respect to the Ponca tribe of Nebraska, the Winnebago tribe of Nebraska, the Santee tribe of Nebraska, and the 170 plus other tribes represented in the Omaha area. So it's an honor to be with you this evening for the John Trudell lecture, and I appreciate the Trudell family for allowing us to have this lecture series in honor of John Trudell, who was born in Omaha, Nebraska, at Santee. And as many of you know, that he was very instrumental in the Red Power movement, Native activism in the 60s and 70s, his poetry, his words of wisdom, his philosophy. And tonight's festivities, and really for the Trudell lecture as a whole, would not be responsible, wouldn't be possible, if not for the generous assistance of the Goldstein Center for Human Rights, as well as the Goldstein Family Community Chair in Human Rights. We also sincerely appreciate the generous support from the History Department, Sociology and Anthropology, the Freed Holocaust and Genocide Academy, and Religious Studies Department. Also want to thank our student worker, Sierra Buffalohead, for helping out in the office and assisting visitors to the program. And she's been a great addition. It's a great honor to have her with us. I've been very close friends with the Buffalohead family for many years, since 1999. So it's great to have her with us. And it's great to have Gary here. We certainly miss your presence as well. Our program was founded in 1992. And we're very fortunate to have a great student body, a Native community, a stellar faculty that represents a wide range of disciplines and classes such as history, religious studies, classes on federal Indian law and tribal nation building, English, anthropology, gerontology, global indigenous studies, archaeology, medical humanities, First Nation studies, geography, political science, and public administration. I'm very proud of our faculty and proud of the resiliency of our student body, intertribal student council, and so forth, particularly during the last 4+ years. So before I introduce our main event this evening, I do want to invite Tim Trudell to say a few words.
Te Yan, Mita Te Kuyapi, Anpe Tu John Chie, U O Ni Ha. Welcome, friends and relatives. Today we honor our brother John. Pidamaya, thank you to the University of Nebraska at Omaha for hosting this event each year. Thank you to Brady for your hard work and dedication to ensure the legacy of our brother continues in his hometown. Pilamaya Cindy for being the guest speaker. Our family would also like to thank the sponsors. I know Brady mentioned them, but we would like to thank them also. The Goldstein Center for Human Rights, the Goldstein Family Community Chair in Human Rights, the History Department, the Department of Religious Studies, the Department of Sociology and Anthropology, and the Freed Academy. John, or Johnny to us, dedicated his life in service of others, no matter their color. His charisma went a long way toward his success as a leader, author, poet, musician, and actor. As Indigenous peoples and others of color face renewed hatred and discrimination today, we know that we can believe in the words he spoke and remember that we are the people and we will persevere as we have since the first colonizers arrived in this area nearly 550 years ago. We're seeing renewed efforts regarding water safety, land back, education, and revival of traditional language, among others. We will not allow so-called leaders to show the racism in an effort to control us. Our fights today continue because of the renewed self-esteem and self-determination that came about as a result of our ancestors standing up at Greasy Grass, Little Bighorn, the Dakota U.S. War of 1862, which eventually brought the Santee to Nebraska, the occupation of Alcatraz, Wounded Knee in 1973, and most recently Standing Rock. John embraced the belief of perseverance. With that, we would like everyone to enjoy Cindy's talk tonight, and I ask that you continue to learn and please help carry on John's words that today is a good day to be Indigenous. Pidamiyaki, thank you all. Thank you very much.
Okay, so now I get to say a few words about Cindy before you get to talk here. So it's a great honor to have Cindy with us. She's Sicangu, Lakota. She's a UNO alumni. She completed her undergraduate degree here at UNO in political science with a minor in Native American studies and I believe French. I think you came back to UNO in 2001 and started taking classes the year before I graduated in 2002. And then she also earned her master's in political science with a graduate minor in Native American studies. Cindy served for about 10 years as a Native American coordinator in the Office of Multicultural Affairs, where she worked really hard and made a long-term impact by recruiting Native students and making sure that she retained them here at UNO and getting them so that they could successfully graduate. She's also done a lot of community work and is a founding member of the Circle of Grandmothers, and it's a great honor to have her continue to serve as a valued part-time instructor in Native American studies for us. Her talk today is extremely relevant on Native American educational sovereignty. And I think that there's a lot of interest in Native peoples, Indigenous peoples these days, but I'm looking basically at universities nationwide. There has been sort of a lack of recruiting efforts made. And I think that Cindy has direct experience on how you can get that done and to do it the right way. And to make sure that UNO, in this case, becomes a place that Native students want to come here, that they have a sense of community and belonging. And so, it's a great honor to have you, Cindy, and I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Well, they talked for so long, I have 5 minutes. Thank you all for coming. I would first like to thank Gary for saying a prayer for me, Native Studies for inviting me to do this, the Goldstein Center for Human Rights, and the Trudell family. John Trudell taught us, if nothing else, everything in Indian country is political. It got me into political science, and I'm here today. So in a way, it's a full circle moment. My family, I am Sicangu, Lakota. My family is in Rosebud and Pine Ridge and here in Omaha. I was a single mom with 4 kids. I have 6 grandkids. I was a waitress for 30 years. When my youngest one was getting ready to go to school, I decided, well, how many 70-year-old waitresses do y'all see? So it was time for me to make some changes, and I decided to come back to college, and I decided to come to UNO, where I learned to be an advocate for students because people advocated for me. As of 2023, 19% of Native Americans ages 18 to 24 are enrolled in college compared to 41% of the general population. Of that number, 28,000 are in tribal colleges, TCUs. I love the tribal college system. It helps out a lot. I came to UNO and I forever am grateful that I did. The main reason they put for natives not coming to school is poverty. I think that's an easy answer. I think we need to look a little deeper. Every native in this room has been touched by the boarding school. If you were taken away from your family, your hair was cut, you weren't allowed to speak your language, and you weren't allowed to learn about your own people, how much faith would you have in the institution, in the educational institutions? And I'm not talking a long time ago. This is my generation and the generation before me, our parents. So when we're talking about educating natives, we're looking at that and we're thinking they have no efficacy with education because of everything that was taken away from them. They were taught to assimilate. And for Native Americans, that's really a truly dirty word. We are who we are. We don't need to assimilate to anyone else's culture to be who we are. So it also, again, mistrust in the institutions. A lot of it is because we're invisible. CNN called us something else in the election. People don't know about natives, and what they do is mostly stereotypical. So it's hard to be in this country and to stand up because nobody really knows who we are, and in a lot of instances, nobody cares. It's a lack of connection, and that's kind of what my entire talk about is tonight. You can't advocate for Native students without advocating for connections. The late, great John Lewis said, we all come from someplace. We have some connection, some existence. Sometimes you feel like you're on this little planet all alone, but you're not. There's a connection. When I first came to school, I was in my 40s. And I was on campus for my very first day. I was lost. I was thinking, can I get my money back? What was I thinking doing this? Everybody looked like they were 12 years old, and I was absolutely positive I had made the biggest mistake of my life. And I walked into my first class, which happened to be a world religion class. And when she handed out the syllabus, the first religion we learned about was indigenous. I thought, what? What? And then I looked at the professor and I thought, she's a native. So after class, I built up my courage. I went up, I introduced myself. We became friends. She was my first connection. She connected me to the greater Native Studies population at large, and I walked into an Intro to Native Studies class taught by Eddie Z. Uncle Eddie, everybody called him. I saw Native teachers teaching students. If you see it, you can be it. And that's what I learned. When I saw them, I thought, whoa, maybe I'm not in the wrong place. Maybe I am in the right place. Maybe I will be supported here. Ed went on to become my co-powwow, my co-radio talk show to TV talk show. We've done service learning. Everything we've done and I've accomplished at this university is because of the people who I had connections with who helped put me there. I watched them advocate for students and I learned. Dr. Beth Ritter took me to, a conference in Seattle, Washington. As an undergraduate waitress, I was presenting at a conference. It was powerful. It taught me that I could do this. She also hooked me up with Fred Leroy to work on projects with. I got to meet one of our greatest community leaders and call him friend. And he took control also of mentoring me. I had a lot of really great mentors that got me where I am today. little nervous, so if I get lost, everybody be patient. I met Big Mama, who advocated for students with every breath in her body. And she advocated in a good way. I tried to quit. Yeah, I did. I went in and I said, I quit. I can't do this. I'm dumb. I don't know what I was thinking. She said, be quiet, get out of here, and go to class. And that was exactly what I needed to hear. If she would have babied me, I probably would not have been standing here in front of you today. The late Kathy Warren helped me on my journey too, in the Office of Multicultural Affairs. So when it came time for me to graduate, I started thinking, what do I want to do? And the position for Native American Outreach Coordinator was open in the Office of Multicultural Affairs. And I don't mind telling you, I was severely unqualified for the position. I had been a waitress. I knew nothing about upper administration. I was a student. But a lot of people lobbied for me to get this job. And I sat down with Mr. Freeman for the one-on-one interview, and I talked so fast, I don't even think he understood half of what I said. But he saw something in me, and he gave me the opportunity to do this job. And I'm sure there were times he wished he hadn't given me a voice, or potentially he hadn't given me that position, but he was always there for me, and I got that job. When I was in college, so many people in administration, in Native studies, other students lobbied for me, but it was the allies that I didn't understand we had or know we had that really surprised me. For diversity credit, which, God bless the diversity credit, because it opens the doors for so many people to learn about cultures they may not have learned about before. But I was taking a Black Studies class, and she invited someone in to talk about the Buffalo Soldiers. And I was listening to the presentation thinking, you know, right on, right on. And then he said, and they captured some of the worst criminals in the West. And it was Sitting Bull, it was Red Cloud, and it was Geronimo. I picked up my purse and I walked to the door. The teacher met me, she said, where are you going? I said, those are our heroes. Those are our greatest spiritual leaders. She said, then stay and tell him that. And I thought, I would have to stand up in front of a class of people I don't know and make a statement like that. But she said, you can do this. Now go sit down. So I did. And after his thing, I raised my hand and I said, can you please tell me how people that had just been freed from slavery turned around and were trying to put other people in slavery? And he looked at me and he raised up and he said, because they were proud to work for the American government. I froze. The teacher came from nowhere and said, let me educate you, sir. And she knew who we were. She knew about natives. And she educated this man on who Native Americans were and why this was so problematic for us. And then she looked at the class and said, he will never be invited back. That was an ally who said, you can get up there and speak, and I will back you. Even if I don't understand your mission or your message, I have your back. When I got the job at Multicultural Affairs, all of these things were swirling around in my mind. All the people that had taken care of me, all the connections that I had built. And I was into that world. I walked into Jim Freeman's world. And Freeman took me in hand and taught me how to be a professional. He moved me from being an advocate into being a leader. And if it wasn't for Mr. Freeman, I would not have been nearly as effective as I have been if I was, because I learned from one of the masters. Every single student who walked into his office had his phone number and his attention. It was an amazing place to start working. And I'd like to take a minute now to advocate for offices of multicultural affairs at UNO and at all colleges. People are alone on campus. There's a lot of people that are alone. I was alone. A lot of Native students who come to this campus feel alone. They don't see anybody who looks like them in their classes. What do they do? Where do they go? They go to the Office of Multicultural Affairs, where we advocate for the students. It's a safe space on a campus and in a world that is rapidly becoming an unsafe place for our children. Multicultural Affairs became a family. These students supported each other and they helped. Is that making weird noises? Does it help if I stand back? Okay. Multicultural Affairs gives these students a voice in student government. Multicultural Affairs gives them a voice in saying what their needs are and why or why not they are being met. It gives students the forefront in cultural programming. It gives them the opportunity to learn about their culture and to pass it on to other people and allies in the community and in the school community at large. We advocate for students in multicultural affairs. That's one of the main roles, as Mr. Freeman explained to me many times. That it was our job to protect these students, to make sure that their college experiences were something that they would take with them. So we started building connections, and we started building safety nets for this school. The first thing he made me do was go introduce myself to everybody on this campus. And when I say everybody, trust and believe, I meant everybody. And what happened from that is I built connections. I built connections in upper administration that carried me all through my career at Multicultural Affairs. I built connections with the Buffett and the Goodrich scholarships, who take such good care of the Native students, and came to us to ask, how can we help these students? How can we better recruit them? How can we better retain them? When someone's willing to work with you like that, it makes your job so much easier to do. Upper administration supported everything I did, and I was not afraid to ask. My key words were, I have a kid who needs a little help. And it was never turned down at this institution by the people in higher administration. They were there for these students. Professors were there for these students. And more importantly, the students were there for each other. These were the expectations for everybody who worked in the Office of Multicultural Affairs. And I really think that a lot of the students we graduated, we would not have graduated from this institution if there wasn't a multicultural affairs for them, if there wasn't a safe place for them to go after a very long day. It's hard to be a Native American in this world, especially because most of what people think they know about us is stereotype. The kids have to deal with, can I touch your hair, for the young Native American men. And if there was no Office of Multicultural Affairs, you get asked that often enough, you leave campus, you walk away from your education. When you come into Multicultural Affairs and say, someone wanted to touch my hair, 700 people will look at you and say, well, tell them no. But that's not something you immediately think of because you don't want to be the angry Indian. Don't touch my hair. I have 2 grandsons with long hair, and I understand how difficult that is for them. So these kids came to Multicultural Affairs and we protected them. You're still here. A lot of people don't even think natives exist anymore because all you see of us is natives of the past. You don't look Indian. Can you imagine how damaging that is to a Native American student to be told they don't look like what they are? And no one says it to any other race. You don't look German. Well, you don't look Italian. How come it's okay to say it to us? Is it because we are the invisible people? But this is what we taught in the Multicultural Affairs. No, it's not okay. And here's how you stand up. People will say, oh, you're Native American? That's so cool. How do you even answer that? What? Well, it's cool. What exactly is cool about it? Well, don't you talk to trees? Those are the kind of questions that if you don't have anybody to back you up, can send you for the door. Can make you say, not me. This is not for me. These people don't understand me. They don't want to understand me. And if we ran into problems with professors and misunderstandings, and 90% of what these students deal with is not meant to hurt them. It is misunderstanding. What they know about us is what they learned in the 1 week they studied Native Americans in grade school, junior high, potentially high school. I part-time teach for the university, and the first question I always ask them is, what do I know about Native Americans? Nobody really knows anything. They don't. We're invisible. So as long as we're invisible, it's easy to say things to us that they wouldn't say to other people. Multicultural Affairs changed that for these students. Taught them to say, stand up and say, no, I don't hug trees. No, I don't talk to trees. My religion is my business. Move on. You want to touch my hair? You might be losing that hand. Once we get them at UNO, Intertribal Student Council was my strength, and I was always blessed with students, yes, Lily, I'm looking at you, who could run the world, and told me about it too. I learned more from a lot of these kids than they could have ever learned from me. Resilience is real, and these kids are strong kids. They just need someone to say, you can do it. I believe in you. 3 little words, I believe in you. That maybe they haven't heard, that maybe no one has said to them. But Office of Multicultural Affairs says, I believe in you. So it gives them a safe place to talk about. Intertribal gives them a family. I always had 1 or 2 who could run the world. And those ones took over, and they took care of each other in a way that I felt blessed to see. If someone was having a hard day, or someone was coming into my office crying, 3 more of them would come in and sit there and just watch the one who's crying and not say anything, just give them support. If anybody had a problem and you told Lily Tamayo, trust and believe, it was going to be taken care of then and there. It was a blessing to watch. We taught them how to stand up. We also put amazing opportunities in their path. Number 1, powwow. And let me tell you, powwow is a beast. My very first year here, I got the job in April. They expected me to have a powwow mid-May. And I was thinking, do they think I can put on a powwow because I'm an Indian? Because this is not something that's really been on my plate before. But I had a great intertribal. I had Freeman, I had helpers, and we put on our first powwow with $3,000 and Ed Zendejas's jar of raffle ticket money. We paid drums out of that. We paid some dancers out of that. Every time you saw Ed in the hallways, he had a big old pickle jar with raffle tickets in it. That's how we survived our first powwows. And every year they got better and better, and it was student-led and student-run. When you're filling out a resume and you have put on an event that brings 3,000 people to campus and spends $25,000 to make it, imagine what that looks like on your resume. Imagine the power that gives these students. If you can put on a powwow, you can do anything. And let me take just a minute. Shout out to the UNO Wobbly Sapa Memorial Powwow 2024 is April 27th here on campus in the Sapp Field House. And in another full circle moment, the young man who is facilitating the powwow, Cornelius, is now in my position in Multicultural Affairs. And what makes it full circle is he was my very first recruit. And now he does it. So you all better be nice to him about powwow or we're gonna have to talk. During Native Heritage Month, we put on a film festival that, again, I thought it was a great idea. I went and I talked to Freeman. He said, sure, that's a great idea. How are you gonna pay for it? I said, let me talk to Ed. I found Ed Zendejas. I said, I don't know how we're gonna do this, but we have to have a film festival. And we had some amazing film festivals. We brought more people to campus. We brought Graham Greene, famous Native American authors, Gary Farmer. We had the entire crew from Smoke Signals here. And the students got to meet them and eat with them and see themselves. If you can see it, you can be it. And during Native Heritage Month, I'm going to tell you a little story about how we're supported at UNO. Freeman comes in my office close to the end of the day and shuts the door behind him, and I thought, oh God, what did I do now? He said, Cindy, I'm going to tell you something, but I need you to stay calm. I said, what's going on? He goes, the homecoming theme is the Wild, Wild West. I said, wait, now what? He said, homecoming theme is the Wild, Wild West. I said, well, you know what happened to Indians in the Wild, Wild West, right? He said, they died. I said, yeah, they did. And he said the most powerful thing to me, what do you want to do about it? Not what he had planned on doing it, but what did I want to do about it? I said, well, I would like to start lodging complaints everywhere. He He said, okay, what are you gonna say? And he walked me through it so that I didn't look like the angry Indian woman, so that I had to stop and think, they don't understand what that means. We are, once again, invisible people. They didn't understand what that wild, wild west meant to us. So I went over to the student services and shared my thoughts, and everybody was wonderful. Freeman talked to people, I talked to people. They sent out a community-wide email that there would be no wearing of culturally inappropriate costumes on campus. And one of our film festival nights, film festival was right here, this is the Pet Bowl. They were going to have a bonfire in the Pet Bowl. And I said, if I have 300 people walking out of a Native American Film Fest and they're watching people dance around a bonfire in inappropriate costumes, what do you think is gonna happen? And oddly on that night, it's one of my favorite memories, the wind was so bad, they couldn't light their bonfire. Thank you, Tankashila. But what's most important about this is the university said, we are sorry. We didn't think about it. How can we make it a better situation for you? And they backed us, they listened to the students, and from then on there is no more homecoming themes. So we do things. The administration at the university gave students a chance to give their voices. We also did a lot of community service. We did a lot of things that connected these students to the community, to each other, and to the university at large. I had a young man who quit school about every 3 or 4 weeks, who is now graduated, and we're gonna have our first intertribal student council baby. But anyway, Dakota quit numerous times. One day I hear from my office door, I quit, I'm done, I quit. Both Freeman and I hit the door at the same time, and I looked up and Freeman looked at him and went like this. They disappeared in Freeman's office for about 15, 20 minutes. They came back out. I looked at him and said, he came in my office for about 15 or 20 minutes, and he stayed and he graduated. He's gonna be a dad, and he's an amazing man. Thank God for Intertribal Student Council. I used to get messages from them, Dakota's quitting again, you better call him in. I also got messages, pictures, Dakota's studying in the library. And they would send me pictures of it. These kids loved each other and took care of each other and taught me so much about love. It's amazing. The Office of Multicultural Affairs did not stand alone. We were a family. Tarika and Mr. Freeman supported my students in ways that I couldn't potentially support them. Mr. Freeman was great with my young men. I understand what it is to be a woman. I do not understand what it is to be a young man in this world. Freeman understood. He marched with Dr. Martin Luther King, and he knew who these young men were, and he helped turn them into leaders. And that's what we did at Multicultural Affairs. We put some leaders out there. We also did a lot of cultural appreciation, from everything from beading, and you would be surprised how much beading can bring a group of people together. We were sitting doing the same things our ancestors did. And it's a great time to get kids to talk. When their brain is on what they're doing with beading, their mouths loosen up a little bit. And you can get information out of them that you may not have gotten before. And teaching them something as small as beading brings us together in a very important way. I had a lot of community help. Anything I didn't know, I called Steve Tamayo. He came in and taught these kids what the Buffalo people meant. Cultural things that even I didn't know and had to learn. So I was very supported in that way too. It was all about building connections. I was trying to recruit, so my first year, I went to the reservation and I introduced myself to everyone. Counselors, janitors, lunch ladies, elders groups. I went and introduced myself to the presidents of the tribal college. I went and sat in Little Priest's lunchroom every couple of weeks, just to meet and greet kids who came there. Because if you met me there and you came here, you already had a connection. You already had a safe person to bring you in here. So you have to be part of the community. If you're gonna work with Native Americans, you have to understand that community is number one. Without community support, you're not gonna get the kids. Without community support, you're not gonna have people show up at your events. So in the urban community, I worked with a nice program, Native Indigenous Centered Education. I was invited into the schools. I was invited to the events. I got to know these kids, the urban kids. I worked with Nebraska Urban Indian Health Coalition, Fred Leroy Health and Wellness Center. And possibly one of the most important things I ever did, we started, me and 4 of the other matriarchs of the community who were older than me at that time, and sadly a few of them have passed away, but we started a group called the Circle of Grandmothers because we thought if the grandmothers can all get together intertribally, take care of each other and show love, then our children will follow. And it's been one of the most enriching times of my life. We worked with Minnesota Humanities. We worked with them on a program where they would have OPS teachers come together for one day, and we gave them what it was to be Native for an entire day, an entire cultural day. And they brought the grandmothers in because they understood and recognized that we had something to say. That the elders in the Native communities are the ones with the power. It's in our DNA to respect elders. It helped me in my job. It helped that I was a grandma age, because they were gonna treat me much differently than they would have one of their peers or someone their old age. It's one thing being lippy with a 25-year-old, it's another being lippy with a 50-year-old. And there were times where we did have to talk. We did have to say, come in my office, we're gonna talk. And Big Mama told me, shoulders of giants, she had this job before me, as did Kathy Warren, and I learned so much from those women. But Big Mama said, once a year you're gonna have to put somebody up against the wall just so they know you will. And I thought, never, I can't do that. Once a year, somebody got put up against the wall. During Standing Rock, we did a protest on campus. And we taught the kids peaceful protest and understanding. And there was an incident, and it ended up turning out better than I could have even hoped. First, the entire community of UNO was in my office saying, how can we help? We can't believe this happened. What can we do to change this? A young man spit on one of my students. And I thank God it was on one of my older students who was calm. Because here's how it was resolved. He found the young man who spit on him and had a conversation with him and came to an understanding. That was powerful. And it showed all the younger students that there's a good way to handle this, that maybe you just need to talk to people instead of being angry. Peaceful resistance. And that's what we did. The students on their own went to Standing Rock and almost killed me and Ed Zendejas. We spent the weekend on the phone with them going, no, don't do it, don't do it. And you know what? They totally ignored us and did it anyway. So when they come back, nope, and they didn't care. When they came back, I attempted to have some conversations and we did what was right. We did what was right. I had to back down. I knew who the ringleaders were, and I punished them secretly for quite some time. But we were there. It was a safe space to come back to. And we gave them the confidence to go up to Standing Rock and speak up. And that's something I'm very proud of. Speaking up against injustice. Mr. Freeman and I talked to him a lot before the protest on how to behave, on what to do. I'm a stop, drop, and cover your head kind of a woman. Anybody looks funny at me, I'm going straight down. And I told the students that, don't fight back, because you will always look in the wrong. No matter who starts the fight, you're representing Intertribal Student Council. And they listened and they believed, and it was a beautiful day. We met a lot of new allies who supported Standing Rock and what was happening there. We try and teach these children that when they leave here, students, to me you are all children. When they leave here, they're ready to speak up for themselves and for the generations that are yet to come. The reservation students, you again, community, community, community. I went to powwows, I sat at college fairs, I did FAFSA nights, I met Big Mama's sister Brenda Conway, and it turned into a 3-year Challenge Our Youth to Succeed grant that put me in the schools every single week. We took these kids on college tours. We taught them the questions to ask when they were on their college tours. And if they stayed in the program and they did the work, their final treat was to come spend 3 days at UNO. In the dorms, we had all kinds of fun activities for them. We took them to the learning centers. We took them to the writing learning center. We showed them what they could have if they could have come to campus. We introduced them to other students. We let them know that if you come to UNO, you're not gonna be alone. That we're gonna build nets for you. We're gonna build safety nets to keep you here. In this Challenge Our Youth to Succeed, I worked with a young man who for 2 years never even looked at me or said a word. He wore his hair down to here and he never looked up. Finally, towards the end of the 2nd year, he walked up to me and he said, "Cindy, I wanna go to UNO." I said, "Right on." I had him. And I looked at his grades and I said, "Well, here's the thing. I can't bring you right to UNO. We either need to put you in tribal college for a year to get your GPA up or Wayne State." And I worked with the recruiter at Wayne State. We helped each other a lot in these types of situations. The young man went to Wayne State, he stayed for a year, he brought his grades up, he came to UNO and just graduated with a master's from the Med Center. I know, right on. But I would have never met him if it wasn't for these programs. I would have never met him if I hadn't knocked on every door possible and met everybody possible. I learned that from Freeman. Freeman would speak to anybody who could help these kids. I learned a lot by example. So basically tonight, thank you so much for listening. I just wanted to talk to you about the connections and how important it is to Native students to have connections to institutions, to the universities, and to the community at large. UNO is a great place to be Native. It really, really is. I have been supported from day one. I've been made fun of Edzendejas. I've been mocked Edzendejas. But I've had a great trip. I did. I was supported. I met some of the best students that are still my family and are here tonight. I appreciate it. Young people need to start speaking up for our future and the next generations. There have been far too many generations silenced and not heard. At UNO, we gave them a voice. Thank you.
Now, I do want to open the floor to any questions that anybody has for Cindy.
Freeman, I didn't see you standing up for me. Does anybody have any questions? I am happy to talk about this until tomorrow if you'd like. God, it must be good. Did I cover it all? Everybody got everything?
Would you be mad if I ask a question?
No, please.
So one question I have is what do you think are some of the best recruitment strategies for Native students?
Being there. That was with the community. If you have the community on your side and you are there and you do what you say you're gonna do, you get one chance in Indian country. And if you don't do what you say you're gonna do, they will remember it for the rest of your life. So what I did was showed up. I showed up at the schools. I showed up at the colleges. I showed up at the powwows. I showed up at the hospital. I showed up. And that's what people would say. The grandmothers would bring me grandkids. I'd be sitting at powwow and someone would walk by and say, "Here, talk to this one about UNO." So what it is once your recruiters gain the respect of the tribes and the people you're trying to recruit, it opens all kinds of doors. They knew I loved these kids. It's impossible not to. Well, most of the time, Dakota, it's impossible not to. It's impossible not to love them. Yes.
What if, as you see, I now work at UNC. You and I used to work together.
Yes, we
Right
did.
next door to you. The thing that I hear at UNC is that it's hard to talk to individuals from the Native communities. And I hope I'm not saying anything to be disrespectful.
No, you're not. This is a safe space. I'd rather you say it here than somewhere where it's not safe.
Well, what I hear is they say, well, I'm not from that community, so am I going to be received if I go? And they tend to not even make the attempt to go because they don't think they're going to be received. And so I say, like, I'm chocolatey brown.
Mm-hmm.
Would I be received if I came? There's just no one way for me to ask it other than.
No, I totally get where you, and I have seen a lot in recruiting. My advice to you, take a Native student with you. Take a Native professor with you. UNMC it's hard for UNMC and the tribes because they tend to send people that speak above the students. And once you speak above a student, you have lost them. So yes, we work together. I know your heart. They'll see your heart. And that's what's important. You have to care about these kids. And that's all they want to see. If you need to meet a grandma, you go over and meet a grandma. You do what you need to do to get the students to feel comfortable and safe enough to come to UNMC. And it's a lot harder from UNMC than it is for UNO. Mm-hmm. No questions? I'm here.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So, how young of the students are you reaching out to? Because obviously you're not just reaching out to juniors and seniors. So how far down, how young are you going?
Well, you almost got to start at the beginning. Right now in Omaha, we do a program called Primetime Reading. We read Native American authors to ages 3 to 11 to get them interested in reading. I have been in the grade schools. I've been in the NICE program grade schools. Again, if you can see it, you can be it. And if these little ones see a grandma in the classroom who didn't go back to school till she was, then you can make it. And that was one of the most powerful things. I was a waitress for 30 years, and that's what I would tell them. I was a waitress for 30 years. It didn't take my family on a vacation. I had a hard time keeping up with electricity and the bills. And I came back to college, and it changed my life. And the little ones understand that. There's that lady, she's going to college. But even more powerful is if their big brothers or sisters go. Once you get one in college, you're going to change the trajectory of a lot of lives. You really are. It's time to, my grandson has been told he's going to college and he's 4. So there's no such thing as starting too young or too early. And that's where powwow's good. You get to meet a lot of the little ones. And if you love them, they feel it. Ed, no questions? I mean, geez, come on. You delight in irritating me.
How many arguments did you lose against me?
One. All the rest of the times I was right. Well, thank you all for coming. I hope that I helped you to understand why it is so important to have multicultural affairs, to have Native studies programs, to have emergency management and services programs. These kids need a home, and UNO has always been a great home for them. And if you have any programs or any projects you're working on, Cornelius, that's the man to see. Yes.
I will share with everybody as much as I can that we do free beading classes at 386H.
386H, free beading.
3 to 4:30 free beading classes for the students.
3 to 4:30 Tuesdays?
Yes.
It's a great thing to do. And elders, it's always good to have us in the room because students seem to be better behaved when the grandmothers are around. I appreciated you all. When we first started the Circle of Grandmothers, we used to meet in the Office of Multicultural Affairs, and there was about 20 of us. and it was potluck. We were very, very popular. Freeman would stroll by acting like he was just in the office, make a plate. Every security officer on campus, everything okay in here? Yeah, come in, make a plate. And you know what we did? We only had 2 rules in the circle of grandmothers. You don't talk bad about each other, and we have no leaders. So they're here today, grandmothers, right here at this table, supporting me like they have for the last 13 years. And we keep getting better looking. Cornelius.
What continues to inspire you?
You, Dakota, Cindy, Liz, all of you guys that were my students, Alex. When I watch what you're doing and what you've done in this world, keeps me going. When I heard Cindy was pregnant, I thought, if anybody would have said this 8 years ago when they first met, we would have all gone, oh my God. And now look. So that's what keeps me going. It's the people that I've met here at UNO, the support that I've had. I still feel like I can come to this campus and I'm still at home.
Well, Cindy, we would, I would like to first say something about that. Yeah, that's not very nice. So anyway, Gary and I would like to present you with a ceremonial blanket. And then when Douglas returns, we'll have a traveling song. I do want to encourage, we have a lot of food left over. It'd be nice, please go back for seconds.
Lucas, come on up.
Yeah.
Wait, I want my grandson to be up here with me.
All right.
Come on. Oh no, grandson down. And this is another thing that inspires me. Oh no, now he thinks he's funny. Ah. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. Oh, sure. Oh, she's being mean to my grandson. You're from here. Uh-oh. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So when Douglas returns here, we'll have him do a traveling song, and then everybody will be free to go. Take it.
Dakota, sit here. You paying attention to what's going on? He wants the mic.
Okay, so Douglas is going to sing us out the traveling song.
Hey!
Thank you, Douglas, and thank you so much, Gary and Cindy, for a great talk and sharing your experiences and helpful advice and insights on how to recruit, retain Native students, build a sense of belonging and community. Thank you to the Trudell family, and thank you all for joining us. I really appreciate it. Have a safe journey home, and again, just a last reminder, help yourself to more food. So thank you so much.